kimchi. It's a Korean pickled vegetable side dish, and I'm using my brother Jun or Paul's recipe. It's so delicious. It's not super strong, super garlicky. It's perfect for me anyways. So I have a Napa cabbage, and you're going to use 3 of these. Okay, here's the end. I'm going to cut it off. What I did was I peeled out the outer layer of leaves. I'm just going to cut the end here. That way I can separate the leaves. Put this aside for now. I have a container of water, 2/3 full. I'm going to add a cup of salt. Then give it a stir just to kind of mix it in. You're not going to thoroughly dissolve this at all. And then put the cabbage in. And we're going to separate the leaves somewhat. Just kind of go around and pull it apart. And go ahead and do this for the remaining 2 Napa cabbages. I have 2 containers. So half of the 3rd cabbage will go in here. Get it mixed. We'll fill this up with more water. I have my radish here. Okay, and this is what it looks like. It's a white daikon, D-A-I-K-O-N. I'm going to cut the ends off. And then skin it as you would a carrot. And then we're going to cut this into semicircles and place the slices into the containers with the cabbage. That way the radish is nice and crispy too. I rinsed this, by the way, before I started, so give yours a nice quick wash, just like you would any apple or before you cut your melon. Okay. Clear this off. I'm just going to cut here and cut in half again. And then we'll cut into small pieces here. Just under 1/4 inch, depending on how thick you like your radish. These are quite flavorful. I have my 2 containers. I added a little bit more water. You see I've spread the daikon on top. I'm just going to kind of rotate and get some of this on the bottom. And then we'll stir it again after a day. I'll fill this up with more water. There you go, that's easier. Pick it up, press it down, and shift it. This out of the way. I'm so excited. This is so delicious. Except I'm the only one in my house who will eat it. Can you believe that? Kimchi's an acquired taste, right? You like it or you don't. We'll add some sliced green onions to this when we mix all the sauce and cut up the cabbage and stuff. Okay, just going to pour more water in here. Adding the last of my water. So I've already filled the first container. Here's the second one. Let's kick this over. We can just give it a carefully, otherwise you'll get water everywhere, right? Letting that salt get up and through all the layers of cabbage here. My kitchen is about 71 degrees year-round. And I'll just leave this on my counter to soak for a day. The final thing you need to do is go ahead and cover your containers. And then set it aside. My kimchi vegetables have been soaking for a whole 24 hours already. And what you want to do is get in there and mix it around. So bring the bottom leaves to the top and the top to the bottom, kind of lifting it here and there. You see the small pieces floating around. You can grab one of them, rinse it under water, and give it a taste. Rinse the water off because it's very salty. So let's go ahead and do that here. It looks limp, right? But it really is going to be crunchy. So I'm going to rinse this under water real quick. Okay, wring it out a little bit. It is salty, so I may only let this soak another day. The only sodium in this kimchi is going to be whatever soaked into the vegetables and the salt in the fish sauce. Okay, so it's going to be very delicious without being too salty. And again, although these leaves look somewhat limp, they're actually very crunchy. So I'll go ahead and cover this and let it go another day. And tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing. Give it a whirl, rinse a piece and taste it. By the time you add the ginger and the garlic, the onions, the hot pepper, it's not going to seem so salty, but at first bite, even after just one day, rinsing off the salty water and munching on a leaf here, it's got a strong sodium content. So anyways, we'll cover this and set it aside until tomorrow. I'm at the 48-hour mark. So go ahead and give this a whirl, shifting your vegetables. And then we're going to taste it again and see how salty it is. If it's at a level that you like, if it's salty enough, you can go ahead and mix your kimchi today. If you want it more salty, you can let this soak for another 24 hours. So let me give this a try. Find a small piece here, or break one off. Rinse it. Yeah, it's salty enough for me, so I'm going to go ahead and get this going. I'm going to show you first how to clean the green onions before we start cutting it up for the kimchi. Now, you know, sometimes the dirt gets trapped in here, sometimes it doesn't, but you notice there's open ends, and if not, just make an opening if the opening is too small. Hold the open ends under running water, fill them up, and just kind of agitate the sides of the green onions. Drain it and fill it again. That way you can leave them whole instead of cutting them in half to clean them. And let's try one more time. If the end is closed, then it's okay. Shouldn't be any dirt in there. But if it's open, fill it up. And agitate, and then of course turn it over. Now some of your green onions may already have a cut along the side. Do the best you can. Oop, that one just spit out at me. Okay. I'm ready to start rinsing my vegetables. Just take a handful of the cabbage leaves and put it in a bowl. And try to leave the radish in the container, and we'll drain that last. And turn your water on. Let the bowl fill up with water. As you move the leaves around, and drain it, and repeat it one more time. It's cool water, so not hot, not too cold. And we'll drain it again. Okay. And now you're just going to pick your leaves up. And I kind of keep the big ones together. That way when I chop it up, they're in proportional sizes. And I have a bowl to my left that I'll stack these in. So the big leaves on one side, the little ones on another. It's like I grabbed, for the most part, big ones. Okay. They're in my stack. This is for the little stack. And then I have a bowl for the tiny, tiny ones that were at the very center of the Napa cabbage. Then the radishes, I have a colander again to my left. And we're ready to rinse some more. So just continue this process of grabbing some leaves, rinsing them out twice, and setting them aside so you can cut them later. Alright, I have a couple of stacks of leaves here. You're just going to cut it into strips and then put it in your container. Now you want to keep the container your kimchi container because it's going to smell. Here's a smaller stack of leaves. And again, just slice. And hear how crunchy they are. Before we get to mixing the sauce, I'm going to go ahead and pour all my green onions into the mixing bowl where I will mix the sauce with the onions. So here I've got about 3 cups of green onions cut 1.5 inches. Okay, I use a total of 20 green onions, average size. Okay, and here is about 3/4 cups of smaller slices of green onions. And then about 1 cup of the white part that were sliced at a diagonal. Okay, put that all in, and you can mix it up. And we'll set this aside. I wanted to show you my little setup here. So the rectangular container is going to be my kimchi container while I'll let the vegetables and the sauce ferment. I took the chopped cabbage and put them into another bowl, layering it with the sliced daikon. So you can see here you've got some daikon and cabbage, and I'll alternate the vegetables with the green onion and sauce mix. Let's get started on our sauce. Here I have a medium onion, roughly chopped onion, and put that in the blender. Then I've got a 1/2 cup of sliced ginger, goes in the blender as well. You can use your food processor if you like. 1 medium Fuji apple, or you can use a Pear-apple. I've had this chopped for about 30 minutes already. And then I've got a large bulb of garlic that I peeled and cut the hard ends off. So it's about a 1/2 cup of garlic cloves, not really exceeding the rim of the measuring cup. A 1/4 cup of water. And you can add a little bit more water if you need to thin the paste, if it's not mixing well. A 1/4 cup of hot pepper flakes. And finally, a 1/2 cup of fish sauce or patisse sauce, whichever your favorite brand is. Some people use oyster sauce. I'm going to use fish sauce. All of that is in a blender. Now here we go. I'm just going to pulse this for a bit. It's getting there. It's a noisy thing. I'm sure they have updated new blenders that aren't as loud. So you keep pulsing this or blending it until it's well combined. I'm going to give this a stir. Let's smell it. Just like kimchi. Alright, if I can grab a spoon. Oh yeah, it looks very good. I've got pulse, grate, blend, shred, grind, liquefy, and ice crush. 12-speed blender. Stir it up and we'll give it one more roll. Oh, it smells so good. Let's go to liquefy. Just pour your sauce over the green onions. If you get as much out as you can. And then add a tablespoon of granulated sugar, another quarter cup of hot pepper flakes, and give it a whirl. So stir this together, and then what we're going to do is we're going to layer the salted vegetables with this sauce and green onions. Then we'll wrap it up and let it ferment for a couple of days. Put some of your cabbage and your daikon in there. Layer some of the fish sauce paste mixture and onions. Just kind of move it around to make sure it gets all dispersed. Add more of your salted veggies. Traditionally, I've seen people mix this with their hands using rubber gloves, but this works for me. I'm glad my sink is nearby. Give it a stir and a fold just to combine. And make sure it's thoroughly mixed. As you ferment this, you're going to open it every day. You can let this ferment in your garage, in a cool garage, and stir it after about every 24 hours. I love my brother's kimchi because it's not so strong. It's just right. This looks and smells good already. You can taste it if you like, but I know it's good, so I'll wait till it's completely fermented outside, and then we'll place it in the fridge And as this ages, it gets better. Okay, we're done mixing here. Here I have 2 clean trash bags, 13 gallon. Kind of open it to the shape of your container. This is the long way here, we'll see. And put your container in the bag. Then you're going to lightly cover this, so secure one end. You can secure this end here. Leave the other ends open. Get your bags up. Take the first bag, the inside bag, pull it up. Let a little bit of the air out, and then just twist it. And you can tuck it on itself. If you have a rubber band, you can tie it lightly. Okay? And then you have the other bag. "24 hours have passed, and I actually opened the bags outside to kind of let some of the smell out. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, give it a stir. Now, it's cold out in my garage. So it won't ferment as fast as if it was in my kitchen. It doesn't smell bad. It smells great, actually. So I might keep this in here for the next 2 days. Again, my kitchen's about 71, 72. You can taste it if you like. Grab me a small piece. Keep stirring it. A little bit. Not quite. Oh, that was good though. Spicy. Stir it a little more. It's yummy. But this definitely needs to ferment a few more days. Ooh, I could smell it already. Not quite. It smells like kimchi. Now, I did just bring this back inside my house this morning. And I'm gonna have to keep it in here. It's a little too cold out in my garage. Give it a stir. And this has been fermenting for 48 hours. Okay, let's check this out. Now, I put the kimchi in my garage for 2 days, but it was too cold. So I brought it inside, and let's see how it's doing. Oh, it's smelling like kimchi. It's smelling very delicious. Find me a little piece here. I like my kimchi with the rice and meat, not by itself. That's good. Spicy. Get another piece. It is much better today than it was yesterday after 48 hours of fermenting. All right. Delicious. Yummy. I'm gonna leave this in my house for another 24 hours, and then I'm gonna pack it in jars and get it in the fridge. We're on the 4-day mark of my kimchi, and I cannot wait. There we go. I know this is a bit unconventional in how my brother makes his kimchi, but it was so delicious. I decided it was best to follow his directions. So give this a stir. I noticed there's a little bit more liquid in here than a couple of days ago. It smells so good. Normally when people make kimchi, they put it in an airtight container and set it aside for a couple of days, but what my brother does, he would check and taste it after every 24 hours. So if you're in a very hot climate, like on Guam, the fermentation process is going to happen faster than if you're here in North Carolina in winter, which is where I'm at. So I started with the kimchi in my garage and checked it every 24 hours for 2 days, and it wasn't going the way I wanted it to. It wasn't fermenting fast enough. So I took it inside, and it's been in my house for 2 days, and the flavor is wonderful right now. Well, I'm going to taste it now. It was good yesterday, better than after the first 24 hours. So, though a bit different from the way kimchi is normally made, it's delicious. It is just right. I'm going to go ahead and put these into jars and then put it in my fridge. This is so good. Here's a closer shot of what the vegetables look like.